Hi everyone, it's James here from Production Expert, and I've got my hands on a copy of the new Stephen Slate Gates bundle for the Virtual Mix Rack, the VMR. Normally hearing the term, I'm going to put a gate on your drums, scares me to within an inch of my existence. But these gates are totally new and totally different. We're going to start with the new drums gate, and I have got that instantiated on my kick drums, my snare, and my toms. So let's go over to the drums and have a listen to how they sound right now. This is a track from a review that you may have heard recently. Now that sounds pretty good, but there's a lot of leakage. It could be tidied up quite a lot. I'm going to take the drums out of solo, and I'm going to solo in on the kick inside mic. Let's have a listen to that. Now there's a lot of bleed, there's a lot of extra stuff getting in there. So for those of you who don't necessarily know what a gate is or have never used one, imagine it as if it's a solid gate. And when the gate is closed, no signal is allowed to pass. When the signal reaches a certain threshold, the gate opens and the signal is allowed to pass. Now that sounds great, but in the past, it's been very difficult to get a natural sounding, smooth sounding gate. Now what the Slate team have done is added a few extra goodies, whistles, and indeed bells, and I think made the gate really drum friendly. So starting at the top, we have the detection filters. Now this allows us to hone in on the frequency band that we want to trigger the gate. We then have two controls which act as our kind of threshold and detection circuit. We then have the release, which is the amount of time it takes the gate to close once the signal has dropped down below the threshold. And we have the range. Now this one is particularly useful because it allows the gate to remain slightly open. So you get a kind of a really nice natural sounding gate closure. It doesn't close all the way, it lets a little bit of the signal through, which is really nice. We then have a de-bleed feature with release and some dynamic filters, which again are really, really useful. However, in this case, the best way to proceed, I think, is just to get in and make that kick drum sound as sweet and as smooth as we possibly can and kind of hone in on the kick sound rather than all the other bleed and all the other stuff that's getting in there. Pull the release back a little bit. Now let's pull that filter down a little bit at the top. Let's open the release up a little bit and pull the range back to let a little bit of the bleed through. There's the de-bleed feature, and we're filtering out that top end. I think that sounds really good, really natural. It doesn't stifle the drum, it doesn't close in on it, doesn't lock it down. It still sounds like a kick drum, and in context, you'll hear a massive, massive difference. So first up, I'm going to play the drum track through without any gating, and then I'll apply the gates to the kick, the snare, and the toms. Now, the other gate in the gates bundle is the classic gate. Now, this is much more kind of what we'd be used to. I'm just going to move this over here a little bit so you can see that I'm dealing with a lead vocal track, and there's a huge break in here, but there's quite a lot of bleed coming from the other stuff. And that's what a gate's there to do, is to get rid of any of that unwanted background noise or that kind of background clutter. I'm going to turn the gate off just for a sec and play the vocal through.
Stuck in Brownsville, Dry Stick, Mammoth Cave, down in Asphalt Country, KYUSA. Liquor stores on Walmart scene used to drive about an hour to good old bowling green, smoke, token of the moonshine, poking red.
So you can hear there's a lot of drums leaking in there, even though the vocalist was not in the same room as the drums. There's still a bit of leakage in there. So let's turn the gate on and let's have a play to get this sounding as clean yet natural as possible.
Brownsville, Dry Stick, Mammoth Cave, down in Asphalt Country, KYUSA. Liquor stores on Walmart scene used to drive about an hour to good old bowling green, smoke, token of the moonshine, poking red next night.
There, I'm fairly happy with that. And in context, it sounds really, really natural when you hear the whole track put together. Great job by the team at Slate Digital on these. A really useful addition to the VMR, and you've possibly turned me into a gate convert. But for now, my name's James Ivy, and I'll see you again very soon for some more Gear Talk.